Hi, Charles Burson here from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and this is my hopeful contribution to the Centralia Museum. Basically, this is a copy, or model, if you will, of the train that entered Centralia in September 29th, 1864, and was the subject of the initial encounter between furloughed and Union soldiers that were from the battlefield in Atlanta going home back to Missouri and Iowa, and a Confederate detachment of guerrillas, Quantrill's rebels, and the leader of the outfit was Bloody Bill Anderson. The pictures are all of people that was part of the incident or had something to do with that. Just briefly, Sterling Price, former governor of Missouri, that had been in exile in Arkansas and became a general in the Confederacy. Centralia, circa approximately 1864. Bloody Bill Anderson. The next one is a very rare one. This is Mr. James Clark. And he was the driver of the train that day. He's actually buried in Mobley, Missouri. And information about him came from a book in the hands of a part-time historian and former railroad employee, Mr. Wayland Kilgore, who happened to be a parishioner at the same church that my sister went to. These next two are approximately the same vintage 440 All-American steam engine wood burners. And the next one is the overhead view of the battle site south of town on the second part of this story. The next picture is of A.V.E. Johnston, the major who was in charge of the detachment of the Missouri 39th Infantry that day, a group of approximately 150 men mounted on horseback that only carried the single-shot rifle. Mr. Goodwin, my friend here, he was a Christian, and he's one that did me proud. I think what happened was they had these guys from the train, and they were lining them up, and they announced that they wanted someone that was sergeant or above to step forward. At that time, Mr. Goodwin thought that he was basically going to be singled out and possibly executed, but in truth, he was the only one to survive. But he intended to take it rather than witness his cohorts and fellow soldiers get killed. And in actuality, he was the only one that survived. They kept him to trade him. Next one is Frank James. And the last one was 17-year-old Jesse James, one of the first incidents that he was involved with. I have built up a system of multimedia. I have a sound. I have an amplifier. And basically, this is from an excerpt of a movie that's mentioned Centralia. The movie was made in 1959, 60 years ago, and the name of the movie was Black Whip, and they talk about Jesse James in the town of Centralia, Missouri. But anyway, I intend to put excerpts of that, excerpts of the actual words of Mr. James Clark as read by Mr. Kilgore, and also I have been really lucky. I encountered several books in my research to try to find out the actual factual events. And I encountered a Mr. James W. Irwin. Originally I had this book and then encountered that one. And I made contact with Mr. Irwin, and he actually has made a recording where he's reading excerpts of this book concerning the incident that happened that day. That I also intend to incorporate in the movie and try to keep it brief but informative. But I very much appreciate Mr. Irwin's work because I have to say, of all the things that I read, this guy is very good about being accurate. He researches and he gets it right. So instead of his story, we're hearing and seeing his story, history instead of his story. Okay. All right. Anyway, back to the problem here. There's lights for the picture, and there's another thing that seems to be temporarily giving me trouble. But here's my Cub Scout switch. If you have any Cub Scouts in your tour group, you have to have the uniformed men come forward, or Brownie Scout if it's a girl, and tell them, hey, this is what the train sounded like in 1864, but this might be loud. Anyway, this is made, designed, and purposed to be donated to the Historic Museum in Centralia, Missouri, if they want it. And that's why this film is being presented, so that you can see it, because we're about 1,000 miles apart. And
you're from there.
Huh?
Tell them that you're from there.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I grew up about 2 blocks from the site of where this happened. And Centralia, it was my home. I graduated from Centralia High, class of 1967, 50 years ago. So it's a chance to get back home. I'd hoped to get this done and delivered earlier, so as I could make one trip to all, but I missed the reunion. But who knows? Maybe I can make the 100-year reunion.
For sure.
Well, yeah. Anyway, folks, this is something I did. I don't want money. I don't want anything for it. I just want to know if you want it. And if you do want it, I could probably use some good strong backs to help offload it, because I'm kind of medically limited as to what I can do as far as lifting. On my second pacemaker, by the way. Anyway, the point is, if I can get a crew of people there in Missouri to help me offload this, I'll bring it in, I'll donate it, and I've got a few other little tidbits that I've collected over the years that I also plan to donate.
You want to show them the key? You want to show the key?
Oh, the key? Yeah, what did I do with it? Oh, it's over here. The key to the lockbox. Can you see it? Whoops. Railroad spike train. And that is to keep people out of the electrical box right here. The rest of it's all plug-ins. And that's it.
Here's the configuration of the tower, just so that you don't get it confused with some of the knickknacks on the thing behind it.
Oh.
So it's a flat screen television on a wooden stand with several components. You have the DVD player, electric box, TV, and what's that thing under the DVD player, Dad? Is that the amp?
Well, this is the amplifier for the audio video.
Speakers.
I wish I had.
Okay, great.
And this one is the one for the train.
Okay.
Of course.
Awesome. That was really loud in person.
And
So you can be reached by either messaging directly in this video or by contacting Charles at 757-819-8231.
sounds good.
But either way, let us know, and we'd be happy to bring
I'll
it.
be contacting you too.
Okay.
I've got your number from the internet, and I'll be contacting you after a few days to let you know to look for this, and we'll let you know also at that time the name of the video. It'll be on YouTube.
Okay. Just to show more detail, I know it's hard to pick up in the video, but this is very nicely detailed work. My dad really took his time with this, and it can definitely be a great learning tool for the young people in the city that come through.
Somebody said they had a payload here for me. What is it? Drive these out of town.
All right. Anything else, Dad? Last
No,
one?
that's it. We'll be calling to let you know the name of the video. It'll be on YouTube, and of course, by the time you see this, you know that already. So,
All right. Thank you so much.
hope to see you soon.
Yep. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you.